If you're over 60, I want you to know something important. Your body is still listening to you. Every morning you wake up, your brain, your heart, your blood, they're all waiting for your next move. And while it may not feel like it, the little things you do in that first hour after waking can mean everything. I'm not talking about extreme diets or fancy supplements. I'm talking about the basics. Things you've done every single morning for decades: brushing your teeth, sipping your coffee, checking the news, habits that seem harmless, even comforting. But what if I told you that some of those habits might be quietly increasing your stroke risk, without you even knowing it? In this guide, I'm going to walk with you, step by step, through 5 morning habits that are common, familiar, and, for some, even comforting, but also risky, especially after 60. We're going to talk about how your body changes with age, how your mornings are different now than they were 20 years ago, and what small shifts you can make to protect your brain and heart. No lectures. No fear. Just real, honest knowledge that can help you stay stronger and safer in the years ahead. Before we dive in, I'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Drop your city or state in the comments below. I always love seeing how far our community is reaching. 1. Starting your day without water. Just something simple you may not have realized before. Starting your day without water might be quietly putting your brain and heart at risk. And the good news? It's one of the easiest things to fix. Most people wake up and go straight to their usual routine. Maybe you do too. Brush your teeth, check your phone, take your medications, pour that first warm cup of coffee. It feels normal. It's what you've done for years. But here's the part most folks over 60 aren't told. Your body has gone 6 to 8 hours without a single drop of water. And during that time, your blood becomes thicker. It moves slower. And that slow, sticky circulation can create the perfect environment for something dangerous, like a clot, especially if you already have high blood pressure, diabetes, or heart issues. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying coffee is bad. I know it's a comforting part of the morning. But what's harmful is skipping water entirely. Your brain needs hydration to wake up properly. So does your heart. Without enough fluid in your system, your blood has to work harder to reach the brain, and if you've got stiff arteries or plaque buildup, which most people do after 60, that extra pressure can raise the risk of a stroke. You might be thinking, but I'm not even thirsty when I wake up. And that's totally normal. Thirst doesn't always show up in older adults the way it used to. That's why relying on thirst to guide your hydration is a bit like relying on memory to find your car keys. It works sometimes, but not always. The best way to stay safe? Make drinking 1 full glass of water, room temperature or warm, the very first thing you do. Before coffee. Before pills. Before anything else. I've had patients come back after a few weeks of doing just this and say, I didn't think it would matter that much, but I feel clearer in the morning. And that's the truth. When blood flows better, the brain works better. And when the brain works better, everything else follows. So tomorrow morning, try it. Just 1 glass. It's not a big change, but it could make a big difference. 2. Sitting too long after waking up. Now let's talk about something that might seem harmless, even healthy, but can quietly raise your risk of stroke: staying still in bed or sitting too long right after waking up. Most older adults think, what's the rush? You've earned your slow mornings. And yes, there's value in being gentle with your body. But here's the thing, after a full night of sleep, your circulation is already slower. Blood has pooled a bit in the lower parts of your body. Your heart has been working at a relaxed pace. And if you stay seated for another 20 or 30 minutes, checking your phone, reading, or just sitting quietly, that blood stays put. It doesn't flow back up to your brain the way it should. Now why does that matter? Because after 60, blood vessels naturally lose a bit of their flexibility. The pump system that moves blood from your legs to your heart, and then up to your brain, becomes weaker. When blood sits still too long, clots can start to form, especially in the legs. And once you stand up and start moving around, those clots can travel. That's one of the lesser-known causes of stroke or even pulmonary embolism in older adults. Think of your circulation like a garden hose. If it sits still too long with thick water inside, it takes more pressure to get things moving again. That pressure often comes in the form of a blood pressure spike, and combined with poor circulation, it becomes a real risk, especially in the early hours of the day. Now, I'm not saying you should jump out of bed the second your eyes open. Far from it. In fact, a gentle wake-up routine is exactly what your body needs. But gentle doesn't mean still. Before you even sit up, try this: roll your ankles in circles. Wiggle your toes. Stretch your arms overhead. Then when you sit, do a few shoulder circles. Breathe deeply. These small movements tell your blood, it's time to move. And when you do stand, take it slowly. Walk to the bathroom or kitchen, not as a chore, but as a part of your body's morning activation. It's a habit that takes just 2 or 3 minutes, but it can lower your risk of clotting and reduce morning dizziness. 2.3. Skipping breakfast. Let's talk about something that many older adults do without giving it a second thought: skipping breakfast. Maybe you've done it for years. Maybe you're just not hungry in the morning. Or maybe someone told you fasting is good for you. But here's the truth: after age 60, skipping breakfast isn't just a personal choice. It can become a serious health risk, especially for your brain. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but I've heard fasting helps with weight or blood sugar. And yes, in younger people, with stable hormones and strong blood sugar control, it can. But after 60, things change. Your body doesn't store or use glucose the same way. Your metabolism slows. And your brain, which runs almost entirely on glucose, becomes more sensitive to drops in blood sugar, especially in the morning, when you've already gone 8 or more hours without food. So what happens when you skip breakfast? Your blood sugar can dip too low. That means your brain, which needs steady fuel, doesn't get what it needs. And the first signs? You might feel foggy, a little dizzy, or have trouble concentrating. But deeper inside, that low glucose can stress your brain's blood vessels, especially if you're also dehydrated or on medications like blood pressure or diabetes pills. That's where the stroke risk goes up, silently, without warning. I've seen it again and again: patients who took their morning meds on an empty stomach, felt lightheaded, maybe even fainted. A few ended up in the ER. And many didn't realize the problem was as simple as food. But here's the good news: you don't need a full plate of eggs and pancakes. A small, protein-rich bite is enough. A boiled egg. A spoon of Greek yogurt. A few soaked almonds or walnuts. Something that tells your body, I've got what I need to start the day. Think of it as giving your brain a little handshake in the morning, a way of saying, I'm taking care of you today. It helps regulate your blood pressure, balance your energy, and support safer circulation. 4. Diving into stress too early. Now let's talk about something that doesn't always show up in lab results, but affects your body just as powerfully: stress. Not the kind you feel after a big argument or a hospital visit. I'm talking about the quiet kind, the mental pressure you take on before your feet even hit the floor. Here's what I mean. You wake up, maybe still a little groggy. And before you've even had water or breakfast, your mind is already racing. You check the news, headlines filled with bad stories. You look at your phone, missed messages, reminders, maybe even a frustrating email. You start thinking about the doctor's appointment, the bills, or your adult children's worries. All of that, right when your brain is in its most fragile state. See, the first few hours after waking up are when your cortisol, your body's stress hormone, is naturally at its peak. It's part of your biological rhythm. This spike helps get you out of bed, but it also raises blood pressure, tightens your blood vessels, and puts extra strain on your heart. That's normal, to a point. But when you add external stress on top of that, emotional tension, mental multitasking, or even arguments, it compounds the pressure. There's real science behind this. A study published in the journal Stroke tracked over 90,000 adults for more than 10 years. What they found was startling. People who experienced psychological stress early in the day had a significantly higher risk of stroke, even when other health factors were under control. And this risk was highest in people over 60, especially within the first 3 hours after waking. Think about that. The stress you feel just after waking up isn't just emotional, it becomes physical. It affects your blood flow, your heart rhythm, even your brain's ability to stay stable. That's why some strokes happen not during crisis, but quietly, over breakfast. So what's the solution? You don't need to avoid life. You just need a buffer. Give your brain 10 quiet minutes before the world floods in. Sit with your tea in silence. Stretch gently. Take a short walk. Breathe. Look out the window. Let your nervous system settle before it starts solving problems. These aren't luxuries. They're necessities for brain health after 60. 5. Staying still too long. Let's talk about the one habit that seems the most innocent, and yet, according to research, might be the most dangerous of all: staying still after you wake up. Now, I'm not talking about being lazy or taking it easy. You've earned the right to slow mornings. But what many seniors don't realize is that prolonged stillness, especially in the morning, can quietly raise your stroke risk, sometimes even doubling it. Here's why. After sleeping through the night, your blood isn't flowing at full strength. Your body's been horizontal, your heart rate is low, and blood tends to pool in the lower half of your body, particularly in your legs. Now imagine you wake up, and instead of getting up and moving a little, you stay seated at the table, or on the couch, reading or watching the news, for another hour or more. This is where trouble starts. Without movement, your circulation stays sluggish. And after age 60, your blood is naturally thicker, your veins are a little weaker, and your heart has to work harder to push blood upward, especially to the brain. This combination, slow flow, thick blood, and weak upward movement, creates the perfect conditions for a clot to form. That's how strokes start. There's even a study from the journal Circulation that followed over 8,000 older adults. It found that seniors who were sedentary for more than 9 hours a day had twice the risk of stroke, even if they exercised later on. Why? Because it's not just about how much you move, it's about when you move. And the first hour of the day is critical. The fix? It's simpler than you think. No gym, no treadmill, no sweat. Just 5 to 10 minutes of gentle activity to tell your body, hey, we're awake now, let's get moving. March in place, stretch your arms overhead, walk to the mailbox, lift your knees slowly, or even just swing your arms side to side while standing. It doesn't have to be hard, it just has to happen. Your brain depends on blood flow. And blood flow depends on movement. Stillness may feel safe, but in the long term, it's the kind of comfort that can quietly turn into risk. So tomorrow morning, after you wake up and drink your water, don't just sit and wait for the day to come to you. Get up, move a little, and remind your body, and your brain, that you're still here, still active, and still in charge. If you've stayed with me through this conversation, I want to thank you, because that means you care. You care about your health, your independence, your brain, and your future. And more importantly, you believe it's never too late to make a change. And you're absolutely right. We've covered 5 common habits that many people over 60 do without thinking. Skipping water. Sitting too long before moving. Skipping breakfast. Jumping into stress. Staying still for long periods in the morning. None of these are done with bad intentions. They feel normal. Comfortable. Even routine. But as you've heard, each one can quietly increase your risk of stroke, not with a big warning, but with small changes in your body's rhythm, hydration, blood pressure, or circulation. But I want to leave you with something more than facts. I want to leave you with a feeling, a reminder, that your body is still working with you, not against you. It's still sending signals. It's still trying to heal. It's still listening. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, try one small change. Drink that glass of water. Move your ankles. Eat a few bites of something nourishing. Let the news wait. Breathe before you scroll. Take 5 minutes to remind your body that it matters, because it does. And so do you. If something in this conversation spoke to you, if it reminded you of a habit you want to change or helped you understand something about your own body, I'd love to hear it. Leave a comment, share it with a friend, or just say hello. Sometimes the best thing we can do is remind each other that we're not alone in this. Take care of your mornings. They're quietly taking care of you.